Welcome back, humanoids, to episode 59 of Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze, Most Shocking Heel Turns. I am your host, Professor Jeremy Vilmer, and joining us now, that booger-eating moron from Kentucky, Bobby Blaze.
Hey, Melvin, your zipper's down, and that bottle of Seagram's about to fall out of your back pocket, so get on your bicycle and get your ass home, you old drunk. Booger-eating moron. All right, I like that. Yeah. I'll take that. Yeah. All right, man.
Well, you know, I figured...
Melvin, his zipper's down.
Yeah, well, I figured I'd go ahead and just roll right into the episode, you know?
You might as well, man. Yeah, because I don't think either one of us had a shout out this week, do we?
I don't think we do. I don't. Well, you know what? I just changed my mind. I do. I have a shout out to the internet wrestling community, and I can tell we're talking wrestling on the internet because all I see is a bunch of morons in the crowd. So,
damn. I wish the professor had come back. I wish Jeremy, Silver Scorpion, someone fucking tag in because you're doing nothing but being a fucking heel already, man.
Shocking,
damn
isn't
you.
it? Shocking.
What's the deal? What is your deal? Well, you're a shocking heel.
Yes,
okay.
A shocking heel. Well, that's the deal. Is this week we're talking about most shocking heel turns in all of wrestling history.
I know, but I didn't expect you to turn on me on my own fucking broadcast. That is shocking.
You know, I went back and I watched that video that time you cut that heel promo, and I figured I had to try to outdo that if I'm going to be the heel commentator this week.
There you go. Well, that was a good one to try to do, man. I'll tell you.
That was a good one.
I tore it up with that one. Thank you. And you're turning up the date, damn it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to contribute what I can.
Oh. Well, I'm going to tell you, let's do this real quickly. We don't have any, there's your intro people right there. Jeremy's a heel. I don't think he's trying to be. I think he just is a heel prick. Anyway, we don't have no shout outs, so I'm going to say this. A lot of it is on this most shocking heel turns. Go to the YouTube channel. We have tinyurl.com/BBBB video. And I'm sure at some point Tex will get to these and Tex will get these up on a video. Tex giving you a shout out. So there you go, because we want you to go to YouTube. You can find a lot of these shocking heel turns. But if you go to tinyurl.com/BBBB video, you can see all the hot chicks that we done. Very Be My Valentine, very respectful. We did announcers, we did most legitimate badasses, and the list that's going up right now are football players that become professional wrestlers. Again, that's tinyurl.com/BBBB video. I put that in there right now because a lot of what we're going to talk about today you can find on video on YouTube, but eventually you're going to be able to find ours on YouTube as well, and I can't wait for that because this should be another fun, exciting podcast, Jeremy.
Yeah, I think
this... so you don't swat me.
Well, I think this one will be a very fun one. You know, I don't know if we want to cover a couple things real quick, but I think the NWA is still going really well.
Yes, I think so.
Also, turns out New Japan Pro is opening an American subsidiary now.
Yes, I heard that.
So we went from only having the WWF to having all sorts of mainstream options in less than a month.
Yeah. Yeah, like we said last week, it's a great time to be a professional wrestling fan.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. This is probably the funnest it has been, the most varied and interesting it's been since the 70s, at least the 80s.
There you go. Yeah, I think so. I watched NWA Pro. A little bit different this week. I wasn't let down. I'll say that. You know, I'm not disappointed. I'm not going to sit here and shit on a product after 3 episodes. I'm still excited for it. It was just a bit weird, but it was good. You know, and I'm going to, if everything goes as planned, I'm going to be there at 6:05 this Tuesday watching it. You know. Mm-hmm. I didn't hear a whole lot about the AWA this week. I didn't watch NXT or anything like that. So, but I do know, I think you or Tex one sent me the thing about New Japan, opening up New Japan America. So that's just something new for us. I think they were on Axis anyway, if I'm not mistaken, at some point New Japan Pro Wrestling was.
Yes, they were.
So maybe they'll get some more, more programming out there. I don't know, but like I said, it's just a good time to be a pro wrestling fan.
Oh, yeah. And I did discover, and I was happy to discover, because at first I was worried this wouldn't be the case. If you work for AEW, even if you're under contract, you can still go wrestle in the indies.
I kind of thought that. I wasn't sure. Okay.
So
I wasn't sure how they worked that.
I was afraid of just another company coming along and locking up talent, and that was that, and that's not what they did. Obviously, the NWA is wide open. You can, even if you're one of their champions, you can go wrestle wherever you want.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think you had told me earlier on about you turned me on to the California Championship Wrestling out there from Hollywood.
Yeah.
And you was telling me that at the time, the current champ, Nick Aldis, was going to Ring of Honor even, done some things like that. So I like that they kind of have that open door policy. They can come and go. And, of course, obviously, if anyone get booked there, more power to you. I think, pun intended, more power to you to get booked with NWA Power.
Yep, that's power with 3 R's.
Yes, they send out that talent. I'm glad, just more exposure for their champions.
Yeah, I think
it's a good way to do it.
I think it's great. I did notice a lot of guys from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood on the NWA show in the last 2 weeks.
Okay, cool.
Which I thought was cool because that means those guys are getting there. And I believe the Marquezes who run Championship Wrestling from Hollywood and Championship Wrestling from Arizona, I think they're doing a lot of the production on the NWA.
Okay.
And then my little brother, who sometimes actually has some good gossip, he told me that the plan is eventually for the NWA to open affiliates again. I don't know how true that is, but it might be cool to see.
I think it'd be very cool to see if they did it. That would be good. I think it'd be good for business. And then if you just had that one product that comes out on TV, or in this case, YouTube, I think they do it on Facebook as well, that just builds up the excitement, man. And maybe they'll do a 2-hour program. And I don't think, this is just my opinion, I don't think unless it's a pay-per-view, you do not need over 2 hours.
No.
I think the hour is great. I'm just saying if they do it, it would be a back-to-back hour like the old time when they did it on TBS originally, because you could get the affiliates out there. It could be a completely different, the top guys could come in for the studio wrestling, I guess is what I'm getting at. Then they can go back out and work for their local, region or territory. That'd be the ideal way, because like you're saying, you're seeing guys from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. You're already seeing them on that national level now, and that'd be great if they do that.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. I am really looking forward to seeing that. And right now, Bobby, I think I'm actually happy to have hour-long shows right now, because that 3-4 hours on a show or whatever they're doing, it's just too damn long, And,
I agree.
And now, especially with so much varied entertainment out there. Okay, so Tuesday night now, you have Impact, you have NWA, and you have AEW Dark, which goes straight to YouTube as well. Okay, that's 3 shows, 3 hours. Okay, if any one of those guys goes to 2 or 3 hours, next thing you know, you're at 5-6 hours. Mm-hmm. That's too much for a night. We got to go to work. You and I got to, write, edit, and produce a show. We got other stuff to do, but we still want to enjoy this entertainment, So I think an hour is perfect.
I do too. I don't know that I want more than that.
Yeah.
I was just saying, if they did it, that would be the way where the guys, if they went out to the different areas and then come in just for the TV studio taping, that might be a reason to add the second hour if they needed to, talent-wise.
Oh, yeah. Well, and if you have a need to.
I like the 1 hour. Yeah, if there were a need, but I'm happy with the 1 hour, and that's plenty for me. And I think a lot of our fans will agree. That's what they like, So
the one point I'll make, and then we can start rolling. If they're editing for content, I don't care how long the show is. If they're editing to meet a time period, then I do. If they're stretching to hit an hour and a half, 2 hours, it's too much.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what happened this week, wasn't it? I think they edited towards just the content of the show. I think it was only about 45, 48 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, that's how it felt.
And I was like, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I didn't feel cheated. I didn't get a full hour, but I felt like I got a damn good wrestling show during that hour. And like I said, I think it was around 45 to 50 minutes, but I was happy with that instead of stretching out something that they may have already taped or trying to get that content in there that doesn't necessarily need to be on that hour,
Yeah, exactly.
Stretching it out, like you said. So I'm happy for it. But like you said, you go into that second hour, you're really trying to stretch for content. Well, then you got someone rambling on like I am right now.
Yeah. Well, and it's, like you and I have talked about how WCCW would do a show with like 6 or 8 guys.
Yeah.
And they would manage to fill a show, but you could tell if they tried to get one more match in there, well, now you guys have pushed it just a little too far,
Yeah.
These guys have already come out for a captain's match, a tag match, a title match, an under a hood match, a dark match.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. That being said, Bobby, let's talk real quick about honorable mentions as far as shocking heel turns go.
Okay. I know you probably got at least a couple. You want me to give you mine? I only have one.
Yeah, let's go with yours.
Okay, my first one is just going to be, I sent this on a message. I think it was Tex sent it to us. He had a couple on there, and this is one I was going to use. I wasn't going to use, I don't know if he had it as a top 10. We just kind of played around some ideas this week. It came really quick. You had a great topic, by the way, when you said shocking heel turns. I was like, let me think for a second. I was like all in right away. I'm like, okay, that's a good one, man. This was the, when Shawn Michaels super kicked Marty Jannetty through the glass window there at the barbershop, if you will, whatever that, I guess they was on that show together. I'm not sure how that worked. I didn't go back and research this one, guys. A lot of you, again, the way I do them, I come off the top of my head first, then I start asking someone, or I text back to Jeremy. Usually we get back and forth on a couple responses. And again, this week Tex had this one. I was like, yeah, that's my honorable mention. So Shawn Michaels, those are rockers, you know, tremendous tag team back in the day. Both of them really good, athletic, good looking guys, complete baby faces, over as can be. And then, Shawn Michaels, super kick Marty Jannetty through the plate glass window there. And that's my honorable mention. As you can tell, I'm just going off the top of my memory on that there. So, that was mine. What do you got?
Want to hit that?
Will you elaborate? Yeah, please.
Yeah, that was shocking to me in a couple of ways, because I started watching Jannetty as a singles wrestler in AWA.
Okay.
And I remember when they brought Shawn Michaels in and formed the Midnight Rockers, which was, you know, they're trying to capitalize on both the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express. I was a huge Judas Priest fan, and they came out to Living After Midnight, which was awesome.
Right on.
Yeah. And then I remember when they won the titles from Playboy Buddy Rose, and oh god damn, I can't think of the other guy's name.
Wasn't Doug Summers, was it?
Doug Summers, yeah. And they were managed by Sensational Sherry Martel.
Okay.
And so when they came over to the WWF, and then, you know, Shawn Michaels flipped, and then, you know, Scary Sherry became his manager. Yeah. I was like, you know, and here's the thing. Most WWF fans will not even know what just happened. You know?
Yeah.
I remember that as a kid watching that and just being like, holy shit. Yeah. That was a good one. No, that was a fun one. Yeah. Mine, I've got a couple I'm going to go with here. This one may not be shocking because I can't remember the full story behind it, but when Hennig and Bockwinkel's series for the world title in the AWA started, they were both basically faces. And then at some point, Zbyszko, that dastardly heel Larry Zbyszko, got in Curt Hennig's ear and gave him a fist pack, and that's when Hennig landed a knockout punch on Bockwinkel and won the title. That one was shocking for me because, you know, like I said, for me, Curt Hennig was Scott Hall's tag team partner, and, you know, they were good guys, and yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Oh, sorry. Did you think, I was just going to say, did you think Bockwinkel was going to turn eventually in that feud or anything? Or because he had worked as a heel before, or just because you was just shocked because, like you said, it was actually Hennig that turned?
Yeah, I was shocked because it was Hennig that turned. I could see, I mean, Bockwinkel, he could go back and forth.
You wouldn't have been as shocked.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been as shocked, yeah. Okay, but they were trying to set up a younger guy, and, you know, and they did it by, you know, and also because Zbyszko was such a shithead in the AWA for Hennig to side with him, you know. Yeah. And it also made me wonder, like, well, what the fuck angle is Zbyszko working trying to get Hennig to do his dirty work, you know?
Yeah. See, that kept your interest, man. That's good.
Oh, yeah.
Good. What was your other one?
My other one is when Rocky Maivia joined the Nation of Domination. He went from You Can Never Smile Too Much to The Rock. And that was it was shocking because it was almost the WWF admitting what they were doing wasn't working, which those guys doubled down on everything.
Yeah.
But also for such a loser character to suddenly turn around like that was shocking.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. Yeah. And it does get bigger than that on these shocking turns, we'll say that.
Yes.
But that is a very, very good one just to be on a fucking honorable mention list. So those are three good ones right there, man. Hit us up on Twitter, me at Bobby Blaze 744, Jeremy at the Geekish Cast, or the joint account at Bell to Bell Blaze. And if you want to use the hashtag BB, you can. If not, that's fine. Just let us know what you think about our honorable mentions, and then we're going to jump into our top 10 in just a couple of seconds here. Always, that's where I do most of my interaction at. And I know up there on the YouTube, the tinyurl.com/BBBB, that channel video is doing really good. So keep telling people about it. Hit the like button. comment, and subscribe. So do that for us, because your input on this, man, your feedback, we appreciate it very much. It helps us sometimes get to very good topics when people write in about, hey, what about this? What about that?
Oh, yeah.
Jeremy, I'll mention something real quickly here. We're both on Fiverr.
Yes.
I just purchased a Surface from Jeremy, folks, just a couple weeks ago. He done a tremendous job, because you hear his voice on this program every week. And he's got a great voice. And he done about a 30-second promo for one of my books, which we'll mention here in just a minute, or somewhere in the podcast. I'm sure we'll get to it. But this is, if you go to Fiverr, it's tinyurl.com/BB Fiverr. And what you can do on there, you can get any service for about $5. That's a starting rate. Jeremy does a voiceover. I do event marketing, any kind of a wrestling event, if you will, a business. If you just want to get your tweet noticed by more people, what I do is I give you about 6 tweets over about a 2-day period, and I'll plug. I plug. Right now I'm plugging a lot of podcasts, believe it or not. I've had several other podcasts get a hold of me and say, hey, here's $5. Do this for me. And what I do is I tweet out their podcasts. I'll say, check out this podcast. Some of them are just up and come. Some of them are very established, but I use Fiverr to do that, and Jeremy's been getting some work. He's going to give you our direct accounts in just a second, but it's tinyurl.com/BB Fiverr. And if you go that way, the program gets a little bit of kickback from it, and we'd be appreciative of that, because we put it back towards the co-hosting fees. Jeremy, tell them our links with Fiverr if you don't care.
If you want to hire Bobby to do some marketing for you, you can go to fiverr.com/BobbyBlaze744. He will tweet out whatever your message is, as long as it's reasonable, not political, and isn't a shit disturbing kind of thing.
Right.
He will tweet that out over a couple-day period. It will get your tweet in front of at least 150,000 eyeballs that you're probably not accessing now. If you want to hire me to do a voiceover, say an intro for your podcast, a quick promo for one of your products that you're doing, you can go to fiverr.com/Jeremy Vilmer, and you can hire me right there. So, Bobby, with that being said, let's get rolling.
You got it, man. Let's go with number 10. We're going to go all the way back to 1980 with the Ole versus Dusty. Okay. That angle right there, way back in the day, Jeremy, that almost, I wanted to put that in at number 10, and we all agreed on that, because it was shocking, but we kind of saw it coming, but we didn't, because everyone bought into Ole's promos over that whole year time about my good buddy Dusty Rhodes, and he just kept suckering him. It played out so long. And then when it finally happens, man, it was like deep down, you knew it. You knew that bastard was going to turn, So, again, Ole Anderson versus Dusty Rhodes, we kind of set it up with that to give us kind of a starting place. Something used that word dastardly earlier. I mean, it's one of those things where, this played out over a year's period. You talk about build up, man. And then to get that guy in a cage, to trust the other man enough to get into a cage with them, then now you got him. It's not to keep anyone from getting out of it. It's to keep people getting in it, because I'm going to kick your ass, because I'm going to turn on you in that cage.
Yep.
So,
well, anyway. going into this, and we got to remember that once upon a time, before Ole's face turned, before Ole was high-fiving the crowd, he was hating that. He was hating that, yeah. But before that, Dusty Rhodes did say, Ole Anderson, this will never be over. And that came back to bite him on the ass in 1980.
Yeah.
Ole and Dusty versus the Assassins in a cage with 2 special referees, Gene Anderson and Ivan Koloff. Well, Bobby, why don't you tell them what happened next, and then we'll discuss how this place almost got burned down in the process.
Shit. Take it.
No problem.
Sorry.
Well,
I apologize.
Everybody in the ring started beating the shit out of Dusty, and Ole just kind of stood there and let it happen. Then I believe Flair came out, and it looked like he was going to help Dusty at first.
Yeah, he broke his leg. I know that. I just was drawing a blank when you asked me that. I'm lost in space for a second. Yeah, they
stretched him out, smashed his ankle. Yeah. From people who were there, apparently fans were trying to crawl over the cage and get in there. Right. They basically, they locked those people in the cage to keep the crowd from getting to them.
Right.
There was damn near a riot that night.
a couple of the guys that come out without shirts on, I guess the police was trying to pull them off the cage too, because they thought they was a fans, I guess, and the boys are trying to protect the boys and stuff, you know. But everyone turned on Dusty, and of course, like you said, Flair comes in, they lay him out, and they break Dusty's leg. But yeah, I was just spaced out for a second there. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. You know, Ole gave an interview with Gordon Soley the next week. And I believe what I plotted and plotted for a year and a half to get rid of Dusty Rhodes was how part of that started.
Yeah.
And it just, goddamn. Is there anybody more hated than Ole Anderson?
I think even today a lot of people must hate him.
Yeah,
I don't
think
know.
so.
I never worked for him or anything. I never was around him. But you see some of those interviews, he still looks like the angry old heel prick, you know.
Yes, he does. That was not acting.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to number 9.
You had a couple of these A's and B's, and I was like, what are we doing? Subtexting and subdivisions.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of them on this one. Go ahead with it.
This is going to be a fun one to try to delineate anything, but we're going to go Lawler and Dundee, Jerry the King Lawler versus Superstar Bill Dundee. But that's going to be 9A because 9B is going to be Superstar Bill Dundee and Jerry Lawler.
Right.
More flip-flops than a beach in Southern California.
Oh shit, that's good. Yeah, I look back at different years. Tex wrote about in that one text. Texted that and from Texas. No, let's see. He said which Lawler turned, and I said we'll just have to work it out because there's Lawler turned eventually, and when he went to WWE, he turned all these different places and stuff. But Lawler's been just back and forth, one of the great all-time performers, if you will.
Yeah.
Whether he be a babyface or a heel, he just had showmanship. But what we was talking about, really, I was like, well, we're talking about back in the old Memphis days, because there they are, supposed to be both baby faces, and then Lawler turns on the Superstar Dundee, and I guess they had real heat, back and forth, and then no sooner did they get back together over any given 3 to 6 months to a year period of time, they start working together as baby faces again. Lawler, I think at one point he broke his leg and his heel turn was over, but then Dundee turns on him. He has a match with Terry Taylor and several others, and you start seeing all of a sudden Dundee's now, he's over as a baby face, and he starts like everyone's out to get the short man, if you will, and he starts turning to where now he's turned on Lawler, and it's just back and forth, man. I don't know of one particular time because there's so many times it took place, but they drew money. That's the thing. They drew money. I think there was, from what everything I heard, especially on that documentary, Memphis Heat, I guess there was real heat between them. To where they wouldn't even, I knew they'd travel together. But if one of them was in one restaurant, they would not go in that restaurant. One of them used the gym. Lawler, they said, went to the gym, but I mean, they wouldn't go to the same areas. If they drove by the liquor store, one of them was in there, the other wouldn't go in,
Wow.
Just that kind of heat,
Yeah, that's a lot of animosity. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
But they're making money the whole time.
Well,
you didn't have to like each other.
No.
Just had to fucking work together.
Yeah, you don't got to be friends to do business. That is for
right.
sure. Yeah.
And they did business whether one of them was a heel. Well, obviously they did business when it's both baby faces on top. One of them worked in semi, one of them worked in main, and vice versa. And then when they both worked against each other in the main, semi or main, but usually that was the main, they just made money, man. They made money, drew crowds, drew money.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter if one was a heel or a face or both were faces or both heels. They just knew how to fucking work and talk you in the building and work you in the building. Yeah, that's a good one, man.
I mean, King and Superstar are apt names for the two of them. I mean, they really are.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
Very true.
And as I was trying to explain this to my lady friend, and she goes, they're more on and off again than Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber. I thought that was a good one.
Yeah, it is pretty good. Oh, well, number 8 is a heel turn by one man against an entire country, I guess, with that big heel turn, right?
Yeah.
This would be Sergeant Slaughter's heel turn back in the early 90s, I think is what we decided that was. He betrays America. He had been, at that point, he had been back and forth. He had been in WWF at the time before that, but he'd gone away, and he was on the AWA, and he was G.I. Joe, He was with the American Wrestling Association. He was a top baby face, and when he returned, it just he came as an anti-American heel. He had that gimmick where I guess he said America had become soft during the Cold War time and this and that. He just come back as a damn anti-American. Remember, I think it's about 84, 85, he was out there trying to raise money for the damn Statue of Liberty or something. I don't even know what year that was. And again, G.I. Joe and cartoons and stuff. But here he is now out there. He's got the whole Iranian type anti-American gimmick on. And you brought up a good point. At some point, the Sheik even come out with them. They'd had a feud back, and we talked about one of the greatest feuds with one of the boot camp matches with Sheik and Slaughter. Here's Slaughter out there with Sheik out there as his manager. He's over putting up in Saddam Hussein. He's out there putting him over, man. I guess his general ad name was his actual manager, but Sheik was out there with him some too. Nikolai Volkov, and I mean they, the whole Soviet thing. So they just, as soon as he finished up with Volkov, I guess he wanted the Ultimate Warrior. I think he wanted Dusty, or not Dusty. Hell, I don't know who I'm thinking. But I mean, hell, the Slaughter turned against everyone.
Well, yeah, and
he wanted Hogan. That's what I was getting. Hogan.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said Dusty.
Oh wait, no, not he was going after the Ultimate Warrior.
He got the Ultimate Warrior. He went after the Ultimate Warrior, but eventually I think he wanted to try to go after Hogan, wasn't he?
But he picked the title up off the Warrior.
Okay.
But the thing is, I mean, Slaughter was not foreign to playing a bad guy. He was a bad guy drill instructor at one point, so playing a heel was something he would do. But when you take a guy who literally has been on the G.I. Joe cartoon, has a G.I. Joe action figure, and has been pro-American for the last, his whole career, but has been a face pro-American blah, blah, blah character in a time when the foreign heel wasn't getting over anymore, and you make him an anti-American heel, and he's still got a G.I. Joe figure out there on the shelves, nobody likes a fucking traitor, man. Nobody likes a traitor.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's, he also, that was the thing, I think it was when I said, I don't know why I said Dusty a while ago. Yeah, he got through Warrior, and he was going after, with Hogan there. He had that feud, I think it was WrestleMania 7, but he was going to I guess he was going to burn a flag. So instead of burning a flag, he went out there and burned a Hulk Hogan T-shirt and a very memorable promo. Now that's not the promo I pulled up, but that's a good one. The one I pulled up, he's out there with the Sheik, and the Sheik has a box for him, and he mumbles something and blah 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 whatever, as a Sheik would do from time to time. So he probably called him a jabroni cocksucker, but he didn't. But anyway, he hands him a box, and basically Slaughter says he said that this is from Saddam Hussein. He opens it up, and he's got the pair of his Marine type boots with the black and the green, and it's got the horn on it like the Sheik used to wear, the horn toes, like Sheik and Abby and them used to wear, and I thought that was a pretty good promo there. That's the one I pulled up and liked. It's on YouTube. There's a shitload of them. Also, I used on that one, Ring the Bell, I think it was, or something, Jeremy. I try to go outside the mainstream I like to see what other people say besides something that came from a corporate magazine or corporate website. You know what I'm saying? And so there's wrestling fans out there that write articles that I like reading some of those. This one was actually from the abdominalstretch.com WordPress. I thought that was pretty good. Sergeant Slaughter turns his back on America. That was a good one to have at number 8 there.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah, and Bobby, we'll just talk about this real quick, but yeah, very often when we get these topics, you and I go to do research, and all we find is whatever in the WWE, and literally covers the last 12 years, and that's it. And you and I are looking around going, okay, so pro wrestling has been around for 71 years, but we can only find info about 10. That's fantastic. All right. WWE is not all of wrestling. I just want to As a matter of fact, I've gone on the record saying WWE isn't actually wrestling. But I digress. Hey, Bobby, you know what I like to do sometimes on the weekends when I'm just hanging out and got to find something to watch? I like to go to Amazon Prime. How about you?
Oh, yes, I do. I told you last week I watched Dolomite, the original from 1975 on Prime. The new one did come out starring Eddie Murphy. He done a really good job on it. That's on Netflix. But I'm not here to promote Netflix. I'm here to promote Amazon Prime. If you go to tinyurl.com /BB Try Prime, guess what? You can get 30 days free trial. The program gets a little bit of kickback from it, and we appreciate it very much. It puts a smile on Jeremy's face. He tells me, hey, we had a couple people try Prime for 30 days because there's no risk to you whatsoever. It's a great service. I wish I had it today. I would have ordered a futon probably, but it's tinyurl.com /BB try Prime. If you go through that, it's just a couple more clicks is all it is. But again, the program gets a couple of cents kicked back to us, and we all come home with a smile, and you get a good service. Tell me about some of those services on Prime, Jeremy.
Well, with Amazon Prime, you get free 2-day shipping. But in some markets these days, they've got that down to free same-day shipping. So that's an amazing thing to try out. You can get Amazon Pantry. You can get groceries delivered. You can get an entire library of video, so movies and TV shows and original programming. Music. You have access to all sorts of music through Amazon Prime. Bobby, you know what else you can do with Amazon Prime?
I have no idea. Tell me.
You can get a futon through Amazon Prime.
I should have used it today. Yeah. Son of a gun.
That's right.
There you go.
So yeah, it does, guys. You know, we do try to sell a few things to hopefully help offset the cost of the show. This is one of those things you can do is go in through one of our links, try out Amazon Prime for free for 30 days. We get a little bounty off of it. Like Bobby said, it does put a smile on my face. But you know what else puts a smile on my face, Bobby?
I don't know what.
Sucker punching a tag team partner with a clothesline when he's not expecting it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just like our number 7. Just like our number 7 here.
Paul, and that was a good one.
Yeah, Paul Orndorff versus Hulk Hogan.
Mr. Wonderful turns on Hulk Hogan. And I'll say this. Some of the two big baby faces like that, great bodies. Paul, legit tough. On our YouTube channel, if you check it out, he's got like 160,000 views on that thing. I liked the vignettes back then on that. I'll say that. I thought Paul Orndorff tore it up for the setups with him and Hogan trying to train together, him and him going to the gym and just making that heel turn and cutting promos on people at the gym. Just to me, it had that believability. It seemed real that, you know, hey, there's some serious animosity between Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful, having this great body, you know, and doing all those things against Hulk Hogan, the top babyface in the company and in the world at that point. You know, you're like, anyway, go ahead, Jeremy. That's number 7, Orndorff, Hogan. I think it's 1986.
Yeah, and this is one of the earliest ones that really stood out to me. Like one that I just, when I saw it on TV, I was like shocked. I was just, you know, they were up against Bundy and Studd, right? Who were both managed by, of course, the great Bobby Heenan. And if I remember how it broke down correctly, maybe I'm getting this wrong, but I think Bundy and Studd were just whipping the shit out of Hogan like a rented mule. And then Orndorff comes in and tosses them out of the ring, and then gets Hogan up to his feet, and holding his arm up like, hey, we won, and then just short arm clotheslines him. And what I would say was one of the nastiest clotheslines I've ever seen in my life. Like Stan Hansen level nasty.
Ah, jeez.
And then hits him with that Orndorff, that picture perfect, textbook beautiful pile driver.
Yeah, when he does that, man, I always said we've done top 10 wrestling moves. To me, we've done plenty of lists, but the pile driver to me is just Paul Orndorff, one of the top 3 guys that do it. Always said that. He even done that jumping one sometimes. To me, it's the most devastating move in professional wrestling. That's just me, because I love that mentality of that whole time period when it got outlawed and it's against the rules and things like that. But you got a big guy at that time. Hulk Hogan's like 6'7", 6'8", you know, legit 320. And of course, Orndorff's a big, strong man. But, you know, put him in that position and pile drive that guy, jam his head down through that. You know, that's your former partner. You clothesline the fuck out of him. You pile drive him. That's just putting a stake in the heart, man, you know. The beautiful pile drive, too. Beautiful.
Oh, yeah. It was, well, the clothesline was picture perfect. The pile driver was picture perfect. And, of course, Orndorff leaves the ring with, he has them come in. He has Heenan, Studd, and Bundy come in, and they all just take a piece out of Hogan and then all leave together. And this is why you don't hog the spotlight when you're working with Paul Orndorff.
There you go, man. That's good. That's good, man. Oh, yeah. Because he is Mr. Wonderful.
That's right. That's right. You know, he wears the nicest robe, and you don't try to get out ahead of him. That's really what we're saying there.
Man. Yeah. That's exactly right. Well, let's go up to number 6 here. I know this is a favorite of yours. I knew the year, but not like Jeremy did. He had a specific reason why he knew the year. I was guessing on one of 2 years. It's Baby Doll turns on Dusty Rhodes. And Jeremy, tell me what year it was, why you know that.
Well, that was 1986, but now suddenly I can't remember what detail I used to hold on to it.
Oh, you said something about the magazines and the Playboy and the mansions and something about her being the perfect 10. You know, you can't take How'd you say you can't take the?
You can take the girl out of the penthouse. You can take the girl out of the penthouse. Yeah. But you can't take the penthouse out of the girl. See, Baby Doll got used to living a certain way, running around with the Four Horsemen. She got used to drinking Cristal and having limousines and the finest stuff in life. And of course, Tully, being that fucking prick that he was, got a little rough with her. So Dusty had to smack the law down on Tully. Took Baby Doll under his wing. But I think Baby Doll,
he tried to turn her into a real lady, you know. Sure. But like you said, and also that, she had a valet for 30 days or whatever it was going to be. Mm-hmm. She had tried that, but you just, like you said, man, I wanted to bring this up real quickly, even though we're talking about Baby Doll turning on Dusty because he's trying to make her, a real lady or what have you. Was you mentioned Tully Blanchard, the man, he's on our list. You got to go back and check out on our YouTube channel, the greatest heels of all time, Yep. That little sawed off, you just go, I know he's one of your favorites, man. We have some good stories about, if you go back and either pull up an old podcast or pull it up on YouTube there, we got a good stuff about
Tully,
yeah. Yeah. So Baby Doll turns on Dusty, man, in 86.
Yeah. So Dusty was wrestling Flair. And I believe he goes for a pin, and Baby Doll puts Flair's leg up on the rope, and she's there as Dusty's valet or manager.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that doesn't go, but see, Dusty didn't see that, so he doesn't know what's up yet, And then Dusty goes for the figure 4, and then Baby Doll what does she do, pull his hand to the rope or something? But she got that hold broken, and this time Dusty saw it. He knew the fix was in.
Yeah. For the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, and that took St. Louis, Missouri. I'm just kind of going over my notes here, but yeah, she helped Flair retain the NWA title, and that, like you said, Dusty knew then. Well, I'm fucked. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go.
He knew it was coming at that point, and Baby Doll was a fantastic. I mean, whether she was Andrea the Lady Giant or Baby Doll, whatever, she was great. Yeah, especially as a heel. Just fantastic.
And that Perfect 10, I love that. That's great, man. The Perfect 10. That's a good name. The Perfect 10, Baby Doll.
Yeah.
And how many, I don't know. Nowadays you got to be careful what you say, I guess. But back then that was just so over, man. She's a real baby doll. And then of course, just a few years prior to that, you had that movie, The 10. Mm-hmm. Give her, So just one of those things where she is out there. She was perfect for that role, man. She's perfect for it.
Yep.
So. Anyway, let's go back real quickly here. Number 10, Ole versus Dusty, 1980 in the cage. Ole turns, everyone beats the piss out of Dusty. Flares come in, they drop the leg, break Dusty's leg. Next one was the many times that Lawler turned heel and Dundee turned heel. They turned heel on each other, all through the Memphis territory, making money hand over fist. Number 8 was Sergeant Slaughter. He basically turned his back on the entire country and that was a big, big heel turn, as we mentioned. Huge. Orndorff, we just finished up with clotheslining and pile driving the immortal Hulk Hogan, if you will. That was very shocking, Mr. Wonderful. Mm-hmm. And then just now mentioned Baby Doll, the beautiful Perfect 10 against the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and she turns on it by helping Ric Flair. And there goes my mouthpiece and my earpiece, and I fell off on you. Sorry about that.
Quite all right.
She helps the NWA World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair retain the title, man. And that's going to take us to our top 5. And we got some really good ones in this top 5, man. And if I seem like I didn't do my homework, I apologize. I'm jumping all over the place today, it seems like. But I've got good notes, as far as I know, on our top 5.
Well, yeah, I mean,
so did I miss anything?
No, you covered that. And I do want to say we thought we were going in a different direction, but we realized the way we were going for this week's show, we needed to do a little more research, and it's probably going to be a 2 or 3 episode deal to cover that one. So this one we threw out last night or the night before. So we
basically concluded our night before. Plus, we're recording a day early.
Yep.
And so the first 5 there, if I fucked up anything, I do apologize, but we've got a really great idea between all 3 of us, Tex, myself, and Jeremy, a really good, we're going to have to probably do it over 3 segments, I think, the way we're going to do it. But we've got a good idea for a future podcast, and like Jeremy said, it was going to take a whole lot more research between all three of us, and we probably all three have different opinions as to who's going to be on there, on what we're working on. So we are working on something big. But again, I'm not making excuses. I do know that usually I have another day to prepare. And also, I was trying to go off the top of my head on those first 5. These next ones all come. Again, I took them off my head, but also I had enough time to do research on these top 5. So I'm hoping I come through in the second half of this podcast. Tag me out, Jeremy, please. Nope. Tell us about our number 5 and work us through it, buddy.
Well, number 5 is Mr. Wrestling and that amateur Magnum Terry Allen, who couldn't quite hold his shit together in a tag team match.
That's right.
1984, Bobby. Why don't you tell them a little bit about what happened?
Well, what happened was Mr. Wrestling kept seeing, he was getting a little bit jealous. You can kind of see he's getting a little bit jealous about this up-and-comer, young stud, great body, could talk, had been an amateur wrestler, as the professor mentioned there, and was doing really good. And he just needed something a little bit more maybe to get him over at a little bit of an edge, to give him a little push, if you will. But they're in a match. It's Mr. Wrestling number 2 and Magnum in a tag match against the greatest tag team in the world, as we've discussed before, the Midnight Express. Anyway, Wrestling 2 saw that TA was bloodied, so Wrestling 2 threw in a towel during a match that he was participating in. He kept seeing these little, I guess, weaknesses, if you will, of this big stud wrestler. Eventually, I think, I don't know if it was following week when this is, again, folks, 1984-ish, it's Mid-South. Magnum was in a tournament for the TV title. Mr. Wrestling number 2 saw the blood. I guess he threw a towel in, and that eliminated Magnum TA from the title, or a chance to win the promotion's TV title. I think I may have screwed up just a little bit, but yeah, they was tagging against the Midnight Express. They were both doing really well, but Wrestling 2 had been trying to really help them, but also that little bit of jealousy, a little bit of animosity. This guy's a little bit younger, and of course 2 were at mask, but a little bit better looking, or a whole lot better looking, and great body, and could wrestle, and was going to get over. And this is what kind of pushed Magnum a little bit more, as we all found out. He got over huge. Yep. But this is kind of the start of his little bit of his first push, probably, if you will.
Yeah, this is definitely where he came from. I mean, this was the big thing. Mr. Wrestling, I believe, cut him loose and left him high and dry against the Midnight Express is what happened there, right?
Is that who it was? Okay, yeah. I knew he turned his back on him. I didn't know it was in the actual match, that one.
Yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure that's what that was. But Magnum, Magnum TA was going to be the Southern Hulk Hogan, basically. I mean, that's where he was headed. And this feud here, Mr. Wrestling 2 getting jealous, this is definitely what set that up. But Mr. Wrestling 2, that was seen as a pretty big betrayal when he short shotted Magnum like that. Yeah, well, of course, this all led
pretty shocking.
Yeah, this led to Magnum taking the title, the North American title, off of Mr. Wrestling 2, which was Magnum's first major title win, at least. And if we're not mistaken, this all happened in 1984.
Yeah, we kind of come up with that, best we could tell on that. It was 1984, yes, that's correct. So, all right, well, let's move on to number 4, if you will. And I know you love this one, man.
I do.
I knew the year, and then I forgot what the event. But then when you was telling me your notes, I was like, oh, yeah, that was that event. But this was, do you want me to tell you about, you want me to introduce it, and then you tell us? Because I know this is right up your alley, or I've got good notes on this one, too. We talked about earlier. So it's up to you.
Well,
just introduce it?
Just introduce it, and let's start talking.
We had this one as Michael Hayes versus and turns on Kerry Von Erich. And we started talking about a little bit more, and we changed it to number 4 being the Freebirds versus the Von Erichs. That turned in 1982 for World Class Championship Wrestling. It started what become one of the most famous feuds in professional wrestling ever. But I will let Jeremy kind of tell you a little bit more about it. I know he gets all excited about this one. Yeah. I do too. But we talked about it off the air just a minute. And I like give that one to Jeremy for sure, man.
Oh yeah, this is Christmas night, 1982. Kerry Von Erich versus Ric Flair in a cage with Michael P.S. Hayes as a special referee. See, Flair had made a career out of ducking Von Erichs pretty much full time for the last 2 years, at least in Texas. And now Kerry got him. He's got him in a cage. He's going to have him his way, man. And, Ric Flair's kind of chicken shitting him here and there. And Michael P.S. Hayes is a special ref. He gets tired of that pretty quickly. So he knocks Ric Flair out and tells Kerry to go for the pin. But, Kerry, being the white bread kind of, all-American boy, he's not going to do that.
All-American, yep.
Yep, he's not going to do that. So Michael P.S. Hayes has enough of his shit. He bounces. Kerry goes to leave the ring, and bam, bam, Terry Gordy fucking thumps him right in the face with the cage door, sending Kerry to the ground. Man.
Yep. Cost him the title, and it triggered the legendary feud between a Freebirds and a Von Erichs, man. Shocking. Hell, it's Michael P.S. Hayes, man. It's the Freebirds. But at that time, they were all getting along so good that, this guy's going to fucking be the special referee when Kerry gets his world title shot from the National Heavyweight Champion, Ric Flair. I mean, that's how much he trusted the guy with his big, build up. And he's one of us. He's down here working at world-class championship wrestling. The champ's coming through, and I'm going to get that title. And to secure that no one's going to interfere, bother me, no disqualification, whatever it may be. We're going to get in a cage, and one of the Texas boys, with P.S. Hayes there, Michael Hayes, one of their guys, if you will, having his back. And then, of course, like you said, he wouldn't do the little things because he was the all-American boy. He's not taking any shortcuts.
That's right.
And the Freebirds, they, like I said, Kerry, the funniest thing to me was the picture of Kerry with the milk carton and Michael Hayes with the fucking whiskey bottle, Jack Daniels bottle, But they're both all-American type at that particular point before they started that feud, man. And Gordy come in and smashing his fucking head in that cage. It's like, oh, man. We've talked about that feud before on other podcasts. That's a good one, man. Number 4 right there.
Oh, that's a great one.
Jeez.
I think what the Von Erichs might have forgotten is that, the Freebirds were working in Texas, but they're from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know that. Yeah. I was just saying one of theirs being a WCCW crew.
No, I know that, but I'm thinking Kerry came up short.
You cleared that up, though. But
I'm thinking Kerry came up short because he's thinking, they're one of us. But, Flair, he wrestled out of Georgia. Freebirds, they're out of Georgia. Von Erichs, not willing to play that Georgia game, I guess, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great one, though. Yeah, and that Von Erich Freebird feud, they chased that thing for the next decade.
Yes.
They tried to. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that off the air. Jeremy said probably about the next 10 years, probably, and I think you figured up it may have actually been 11 because I guess it officially ended when they had a memorial show, I guess, for Kerry in like 1983 or something. So this thing went on forever, folks.
Yeah,
to try to chase that down, man.
Yeah,
and follow that up.
Absolutely. Hey, Bobby, I understand not only are you a pro wrestler, a pro wrestling consultant, podcast host, a YouTube host, but you're also an author.
Yes, that's correct. I've got 2 books out there, and I'll tell you how you can get them. They're on Amazon, but I'm going to tell you an easier way to get them if you can help sponsor the program a little bit because each and every week we try to use the books to sponsor the podcast, and we also use the podcast to promote the books. So I've got my first book that come out. It's called Pin Me, Pay Me, Have Boots Will Travel. You can get that book by clicking tinyurl.com/blazebook1. It's that simple, folks. Also, you can get my second book. It's called I Kicked Out on 2, The Educational Wrestler. You can get that by going to tinyurl.com/blazebook2. Again, that's just take you right to Amazon. It's just one extra click. It's tinyurl.com/blazebook1, tinyurl.com/blazebook2. It takes you right to the Amazon page. But what happens is once again, the professor over there gets a big smile on his face because the show gets a few cents, a little bit kickback from the sale of a book. I get a little bit because I get a little bit of a kickback from the book sales. And right now, it's a good time of year to buy one because the time you hear this is going to be almost Halloween, and shortly after Thanksgiving, Halloween, you got Thanksgiving, then Christmas. So now's a good time to be buying your Christmas present. If you already haven't started, do so now by clicking tinyurl.com/blazebook1. That's for Pin Me, Pay Me. If you want I Kicked Out on 2, the second book, just go to tinyurl.com/blazebook2. How's that, Professor?
That is fantastic. Everybody, if you have not read his books, go ahead, grab a copy. If you have read them, Buy them for somebody who hasn't. If everybody you know's read it, then buy a copy and donate it to your local library.
Yes, that's a great idea. We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I do believe it is now available. My first book was available up for the last couple of years at the local Boyd County Library here in Kentucky at the Ashland branch. Now I kicked out on to the Education Wrestler. As far as I know, it went live yesterday at the Ashland Public Library as part of the Boyd County Library system. There's 3 libraries in this immediate area. They do have interlibrary exchange and loans. So if you live in this area, go down there and check it out one day. If you don't, order one. Go to tinyurl.com/blazebook1 or blazebook2. Order one and donate to your local library wherever you may be listening to this program at. That's what I was trying to spit out there.
Yep. Well, you did a fine job. Yes, Bobby, it does put a smile on my face when people buy a copy of your book. But you know what else puts a smile on my face?
I'm hoping that when they leave a review.
Yeah, that too. Okay, but you know what else puts a smile on my face?
No, you tell me, man.
Well,
what?
That would be hitting my mentor over the head with a wooden chair.
Ah!
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You already jumped to number 3. I thought we were still in ad mode. Wow. Okay. I need hitting the head of a chair, damn it. Oh, wait a minute. I already had. No, I don't. I've had enough of those.
See.
Yeah. Okay. It's number 3. Go ahead. What was you getting at there? Number 3.
That was a shocking swerve is what that was, as my shocking heel turn continues. Number 3. Yeah.
I don't know. Headshot.
That's right. Number 3 is the new living legend, Larry Zbyszko, versus the living legend, Bruno Sammartino. The great Bruno Sammartino.
Yes, the student turns against the teacher, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And Bruno was in retirement, and Zbyszko, of course, that he had begged him, I guess, for about 5 or 6 years when he was younger for Bruno Sammartino to train him. And I think he told him, you need to, go to school, finish high school, go to college, whatever you need to do. You're not ready yet, And so this went on because this was in Pittsburgh. And I guess eventually what happened, Zbyszko did it. He went and finished his college degree, comes back, true man to his word. Sammartino trains him, helps him get into breaking into the professional wrestling business in around 1970 or so. Well, here it is 10 years later, man. And, Zbyszko's trying to get, hey, come on, come out of retirement, come and wrestle. And the fans I don't think they're really on board with it right away until they're having a television match as an exhibition. He just said, look, I know, I just want you to just do an exhibition, just come out of retirement, if you will. So they're having an exhibition on WWF TV back in the day, and Zbyszko, I guess, he's getting a little bit pissed off, a little bit frustrated. Sammartino's not the old man he thought he was. He's holding his own, and he's doing this and doing that, and he breaks a wooden chair over his head. So it sets up for a big, huge match that is so big that they know they can't hold it in Madison Square Garden. So they have the show, a super show. I'm drawing a blank on the name, Jeremy, but they have it. They draw about 40,000 fans. Now I've heard 60,000. I've heard 70,000, but I think the most accurate I've read is about 40,000 fans. And it was, at this point in wrestling, it was probably the single greatest heel turn in professional wrestling history.
Probably one of the most forgotten. My little brother and I just recently were talking about why Zbyszko went with WCW instead of the WWF when AWA finally shuttered. And we were trying to remember if anybody in the WWF would have even remembered him. And neither one of us remembered about this at that moment. Neither one of us.
Really?
Did.
Okay.
And that means that it sits somewhere below the conscious, because between me and my brother, we know the most vague and stupid shit about wrestling. And when both of us forget the same thing at the same time, that means it's pretty quiet in people's zeitgeist, But this was one of the biggest turns ever. I mean, first off, sucker punching a retired Bruno Sammartino, even during his weird Afro perm phase.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. Yeah. And Zbyszko, I don't know, man, Zbyszko played a hell of a heel. He really did.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what I did, Jeremy. We was talking about websites, or I will give credit where credit's due. I went to another person. It's called Ring the Damn Bell.
Mm-hmm.
.wordpress, and this person here is obviously a fan, and that's what they titled it. It was like the greatest wrestling angle that time forgot, and basically it talked about how he just suckered him out of, the stage was set for Bruno. He just wanted to interview his protege. He didn't want to wrestle him. He kind of brushed him off like he did when he was going to train him, and then, like you said, Zbyszko finally agrees to the interview, and he's been in a shadow. Let's just have an exhibition match, if you will, and boom, He blasts him in the back of the head, like we mentioned, across the head, bloodies him, to where they have to have this huge match. It was it was called a Super Show. That's what it was called, if I'm not mistaken. It says, that's all this article says, the WWF Super Show. And it also featured several other people, two of which we're going to mention here in just a moment. I didn't know how we was going to get that in there. Is that a good little setup there, Jeremy, for a segue or not?
I think so.
That match that took place in front of, again, this article says 40,000. That's about the most accurate I could find, between Bruno and the shocking heel turn of Zaire Zabisco on his mentor and trainer. Man, that'd be like me hitting Malenko. There's no way. He'd still beat my ass. You could hit the old man and have the chair, you got up and whoop my ass anyway. So no way, man. But that's where I got that from, ringthedamnbell.com. And I really like getting them outside articles from wrestling fans like you and myself. But anyway, that Super Show, Jeremy, it has some other performers on there. And it could be a couple guys we're getting ready to mention. You want to go to number 2, or you want to talk about that some more?
No, you know what? We'll go to number 2, and then when we pass number 1, we'll bring that back up. But real quick, before we go to 2, I want to say I believe the Super Show you're talking about was at Shea Stadium.
Yes, it was at Shea Stadium.
All right, well, number 2, and this is one that, I watched this on Saturday morning as a youngster, and I do remember it being quite shocking at the time, and that is Andre the Giant demanding a world title shot against Hulk Hogan out of nowhere, joining with Bobby Heenan. Boy, yes. we sure come up with his name a lot in this list, don't we, Bobby?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Bobby Heenan. Ooh. Yeah, might be onto something there.
Yeah. Well, it was at Piper's Pit.
Yeah, there you go.
And Andre, and you really, when you see Andre next to a man who is 6.5 feet tall, 320 pounds, and Andre is towering above him and his hands still look bigger than that man's head.
Oh, yeah.
You get a sense of just how goddamn big Andre was. And Andre was, 520 pounds at this point in his life?
Oh, probably.
Yeah. Drives Hogan to the ground, grabs his shirt and his crucifix, ripping them both off of him. And in the process, I do remember this because this was kind of odd to see. When he grabbed the cross actually stabbed Hogan in the chest and drew a line. So Hogan was bleeding at the end of this too.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, when I was doing some research on this one here, there were several people that said, first of all, there was a fan to kind of talk about what Jeremy's talking about when we go back and look up some of these, the it all goes back to WWF type thing. They had done a poll, and this was number 5 on their shocking moments. Now, how the fuck Andre the Giant turns on Hulk Hogan is the number 5 most shocking, heel turn or whatever. No, we're talking, hey, this is big. This is Andre the Giant, who had been worldwide famous wrestling, a legend, an icon, if you will, like we talked about that word, Jeremy, last week. And he has been a babyface his entire time, man, from movies and TV shows just to the wrestling. Everyone knew him. The legendary drinking, just eating, everything, okay? And, he's out there with Hogan. He's demanding, hey, I want a title shot, and tell him, get your hand off my shoulder, and that thing. And you look at me when I'm talking to you. And I wanted to, I'm not trying to just say anyone else's words, but, Bruce Pritchard was on one of these shows, and he said, I can't believe that's number 5. So he must not have been at the company when he was doing this interview, but he said, I can't believe that's number 5. He said, that's probably number 1, number 2 at the worst. And then Kevin Saul was on there, and he said, man, it's like Dracula. He's just stabbing Christ in the heart with the crucifix, if you will.
Yep.
And he said, man, this has got to be number 1. I can only think of one other turn that might be bigger than this. He said, but in my mind, I doubt it. And that's Sullivan, and I'll tell you why I'm going to say that in just a minute when we get to our number 1 turn, unless you may go ahead and turn it into it right now and tell you what it was, Jeremy. What do you want to do?
Well,
Sullivan's saying it has a reason.
Let's go ahead and roll right with it. Let's go to the next one right off.
Yeah, in July of 1996, the biggest babyface in the history of professional wrestling turns heel. Hogan turns heel, man. And that was a tie-in. I heard firsthand from Kevin Sullivan, going back to tying the Dusty thing, or excuse me, why do I keep saying Dusty? Andre turning, he said that should be number one. He could only think, and again, this is on YouTube. He said, I could only think of one that might be bigger or more shocking, and that was this here. But it took Kevin Sullivan's mind. That's the one that helped. He's the one that planted the seed with Hulk Hogan, saying, Hulkster, you got to turn. Now's the time. You got to turn. And, of course, I think it took several months to work this out, the details. But, you know, Hogan finally turns heel. He drops the leg on Savage and joins the NWO, man. That's got to be the most shocking heel turn of all time in professional wrestling. And that followed a good pace of the story there, Jeremy, tying both number 2 and number 1 together.
Yeah, I think so. You know, I wanted to say real quick, when they were doing when Andre got his title match against Hogan, they went ahead and made a title belt to fit Andre just in case.
There you go. Because you didn't know if he was going to do it or not.
Yep. If he decided to not do the job,
right,
there was no way to stop him. There was no way to stop him. It just speaks to what a pro, guys like him, San Martino, these other guys. Andre did the job like he was supposed to. San Martino would not take a clean win over Zbyszko to keep Zbyszko strong, knowing that his career had to go forward after they did their bit. It just speaks to what pros those guys were.
Yeah, and I was going to tie in also on that super show that they done back at Shea Stadium we was just talking about for number 3 for the Zbyszko San Martino. On air, one of the undercard matches they had Andre the Giant as a babyface against a young Hulk Hogan as a heel way back in 1980. And so here we are talking all the way up to 1987 of Andre turning on the Hulkster there. And then, of course, the build-up for at WrestleMania 3 was so huge. And like you said, and it's been everywhere as far as passing the torch. Everyone knew Andre went out there and did the right thing. Mm-hmm. But, again, the biggest baby face Hulkster's in there, you know, teared up and this and that. And then just a few years later, I know it jumps the timeline here, but still over huge, biggest professional wrestling star in the world at that time, because the Monday Night War is just now getting ready to start. They need something really, really strong. It's going on. You know what I'm saying? Everything is just so strong back in those days as far as what WWF and WCW had. And then the Hulkster, if you're watching it, he turns the biggest baby face. He turns heel, man. That's just, man, you know, and he of course, so all those guys though came from WWF. Now they're over there doing the New World Order deal, you know, and that's just huge, man. Just during that time period. Go ahead, Jeremy. It's just, we had some shocking moments. This is, again, the Andre one was pretty big, but I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, Hogan turning heel because he was the biggest babyface ever. Well, yeah. Probably the most shocking.
Well, and people might point out, Hogan was a heel when he started. Yeah, and nobody knew who the fuck he was. It doesn't count, you know. Hulk Hogan was not the incredible Hulk Hogan, the immortal Hulk Hogan, until, you know, his title win over the Sheik, you know, his long run as WWF champion. His jumping ship to WCW.
Yeah. That's another thing too they talked about is Andre and Hogan had worked together before. You know, I could mention that Shea Stadium story way back when. But see, the believability of the power of that TV, they build up for that was they never had wrestled each other. They was now, you know, he's demanding that title shot and this and that. That's the power of that TV that the fans believe so much, and that's good. That's what you want. You want that believability, unlike what we talked about last week, where you know you can't suspend your belief for a while because they went over the edge too much. But this here, it was all believable that, you know what, Andre the Giant is he finally wants a title shot. And then the next one, Hogan, and he turns on him. And then Hogan, leaves WWF, whatever, and he's in WCW, and he's on there. And not only is it a baby face that you remember, now he's the Hulkamania, the Hollywood Hogan. You know, that transition is, you know what, pretty much fuck you all. I'm going with what's new, and that's the New World Order, you know. Pretty shocking.
Yeah, no, it absolutely was. I remember watching it when he was coming to the ring, and Bobby Heenan kind of tipped the hat a little bit, I think. I don't know if he was supposed to or not, but as Hogan was coming out, Heenan goes, but whose side is he on? And that's when all of a sudden my brain just like came to a grinding halt. The gears just stopped spinning. I was like, I looked at my brother and I said, he's going to turn on him. And then we were both just like staring at the TV after that, and that leg drop when he hit Macho Man with that leg drop. And I had never seen, it became commonplace after this, but I had never seen that much shit thrown in a ring by the fans at any point in my life. And this was, live on pay-per-view at that moment. Just people pelting beer cans and soda cups and fucking everything was just going into the ring. I am surprised that is not one of those nights where people stormed the ring. I'm literally shocked by that because we did see it again later with the NWO, those guys having to kick the shit out of people trying to get into the ring.
Yeah. I don't know either, but anyway. All right, man, that sums up top 10, both shocking heel turns in professional wrestling history. I think we had a good top 10. What do you think?
I think we had a great top 10. This was a lot of fun to do, too, because it made me rack my brain a little bit trying to think of times, what was the most despicable heel turn you had seen? I had a blast, Bobby.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. I'm glad you come up with this subject. I know, again, I apologize where I wasn't as prepared as I normally am. I just blame it on myself, man. And I hope you still enjoyed the podcast, though. And again, thanks for taking the time. You sent me some really good ones, some ideas. I had some ideas off memory. Then Tex sent some. We tied them all together, and I think we just had a really, really good top 10. And I hope the fans enjoyed it as much as I did. I just wish I'd have been a little bit more on the first 5. I just hanging there, just been a little bit tough this week, and no excuses or anything, but I do appreciate you coming up with this top 10 list, and I do appreciate the podcast, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, if you've never seen some of these, go ahead, jump on Daily Motion, YouTube, all those internet sites out there that have video. They're really, some of these things, that's the only place you can find them anymore. Quite literally, yeah. So get out there, check them out. It's definitely, if you are a wrestling fan but you don't know these events, you need to go find them. Bobby, anything else to say before we wrap up? And any hints?
Oh man,
any hints we want to drop about maybe what we're going to do next week?
I don't know if it'll be next week though. That's the thing.
Oh, that's a good point. Well, you know what?
We have an idea that it could go several ways, but basically I used the word icon with just a few people in this professional wrestling program, and I said it today with Andre. I've used it with a couple others, about 3 or 4 that I know I've used that word on it. So we kicked around the idea, and Tex was involved in this eventually too. Once the first idea came out, we were going to do like kind of top 5 icons of professional wrestling. Well, maybe our first 3 might be the same, but maybe Jeremy has 4 or 5 that's different than my 4 or 5. And then Tex might have had, a different 3 or 4. But anyway, we decided that, I think it's what we decided. Again, it's still kind of in work. We're going to do a Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling. But the way we're going to do it, we're each going to have our own list, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Jeremy? To some extent. There's going to be some lag over on it.
Yeah.
Because we all may have the first 4. We all might agree that these 4. So anyway, then we're going to do it by eras also. I think we're going to do 60 to 70s, 70s to 80s, 80s through 90s, and 90s through 2000. Is that correct? We're going to do like 4 lists, I think. 16 names maybe. I can't see. That's why it's in the works. But yeah, there's your teaser. I don't know if that's teasing you people enough, but we're going to do some icons or a Mount Rushmore professional wrestling, kind of broken down by era, if you will, and also by majority vote, I guess, on who gets this between, Jeremy, myself, Tex, and also the fans too, who would be on that? Who would you use the word icon for? That's all I'm trying to get at. I'm having a hard time today, Jeremy, as you can tell, and I haven't had a drink. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, that's probably the problem.
It probably is. It is Saturday instead of Sunday. So, and it is getting a little bit later in the day than what we normally record at. But that might be the problem. I might need a drink, Jeremy. I don't know. But no, I'm not drinking or anything today. I just had a lot going on this week. And, anyway, everything's good. Everything's good. I'll say that. And like I always say every week, man, people, please take care of yourself out there. Take care of each other. Show some love for each other, man. Man, I tell you what, I'm so grateful for the things I do have, and I'm very appreciative. I'm appreciative of Jeremy's friendship. I'm appreciative of all the fans that listen to the podcast, and I'm appreciative of the podcast. So I'll just kind of blow it out on that. And I appreciate just, having an opportunity to get out here and talk about professional wrestling and having a good time.
Yeah, it's always fun. Bobby, thank you for joining us. I always appreciate when we have time to do this, and when our schedules are kind of goofy and we got to jump around. I know it makes it a bigger pain in the ass, but fortunately we decided to do it on a Saturday instead of we'll do it later this week because we know what happens.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's it for me, brother.
All right. Well, everybody out there, all you humanoids in our internet wrestling listening crowd, it's been our pleasure to put this show on for you, but it's been a bigger pleasure for you to listen to Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. Bye-bye, everybody.